Hi everyone and welcome back to GearHeads, the SimRacing podcast. And if you are like me, a big fan of Assetto Corsa and a big fan of mods, this is your episode. So today we're gonna have Matias Sala from Virtual Racing Cars, one probably of the biggest sim racing mod community and probably one of the biggest shop too. They make mods for R Factor 2, Automobilista, Project Cars. Assetto Corsa is probably the main where they focus, and their mods are very reliable and they're quite famous inside of the community. So before we start talking about them, let me just talking about sponsors and how you can help the channel. Like always, I keep asking that, but you can help the channel through the Patreon. On the Patreon, you are helping me and help Games with Cancer every month, and it's quite something that we always been doing since the beginning of the channel, and something that I'm really proud to do it. And of course, you can always help the channel by clicking a like and subscribe the channel on YouTube, or like it and give it 5 stars if you are on audio on any type of audio platform. On YouTube, it's really important that you start comment. All my videos, they have a good engagement. They are talking about 16k views in the podcast, so it's really good, but we need engagement. Engagement is, we need more than likes, we need comments. Even drop an emoji will be enough just to keep helping and keep the algorithm and make YouTube putting more the videos outside and keep pushing more to people that are known to the channel, are not subscribers. So remember, subscribe the channel and keep comment. And if you can always help the channel through the affiliate links that you already know, Race Anywhere, just click on the link that you're gonna see on YouTube. And if you see us on audio or listening us on audio, to be more accurate, just scroll up and you will find on Spotify, Apple, the link, and just click it, and I will see you there and Race Anywhere. Remember, even clicking, you are already helping the channel to get more visualization. So please guys, keep helping us. As I promised, we're gonna talk now about all mods. Matias is from Argentina. He is a very kind person and was really nice to talk with him. I think it was really important to have him on the podcast and understand a little bit more what's good behind all the data on the modding, what is his views as a modder in Rensport, because Rensport can say A, B, C, D, and after give us D, as we see already with the Iron Bell when he promised many stuff and give us the Iron Bell waffles, and after we get 0 from to the community. So it's quite important to have him on the board. And before we start it, just to remember you that next week should be an episode about news and what's happening on the community, but I will have my first operation, so I don't know how we manage. When this go live, I'm already having my operation, so it's on the same time almost, but I'm recording everything early and I'm ready for the follow week. So Ash Vanderlei, we're going to be with us and we're going to talk about the power of women, and I think it was really good to have her on a pod with me and learn a little bit more about it. And I don't know if I'm going to have strength to do the podcast on next week, but I really hope if I don't have it, we will skip it as it's just news and we will keep our guests on the schedule that are already agreed. So guys, without any further, let's bring Matias to us. Told you I have here Matias from Virtual Racing Cars, one of the biggest mod communities, and I'm speaking with him directly from Argentina. Matias, thank you so much for being with me.
It's a pleasure being here with you. It's an honor also to be here after all the guys you have interviewed in the past. So a pleasure to be talking here with you.
Thank you, Matias. Tell me a little bit how you created the VRC, how it started all this one, for why you started making mods.
I think I started making mods like more than 20 years ago. I think my first mod were some sort of skins for Flight Simulator in the very early days of Flight Simulator. So I was always there trying to mod different kind of simulators. But well, my passion was always about cars, about racing. I was also there modding some stuff for Air Factor, but only for me. Also doing some skins and some of those things. And well, Assetto Corsa, I think, changed everything for a lot of us. So BRC, we formed BRC after some of the other modding teams in which all the members were, like Formula Corsa or Virtua Simulazioni. Those teams split, and we formed BRC. The first project we did for BRC was a classic car, the MP4 from Ayrton Senna. And so we all came together to make that mod. And after creating that mod, we said, I think this works. The team's workflow was really nice, and we got really well together. So that's when we started BRC.
That's great. But tell me, what kind of work go behind creating a new mod? Can you talk a little bit all the steps involved, all the ideas until the final release?
Sure. Each project is completely different from one another, so that tends to change a bit. But well, first of all, we need to gather information of the car or the track we are going to make. And that can be quite different depending on the sort of car, the age of the car you are working on. So gathering information, gathering references, gathering pictures, it's super important. And then the usually when we're working on a car, the project can be divided into 3 different aspects, one of which is the 3D model and how the model will look in game. Then you have the sounds of the car, and then you have the physics of the car. So we need to gather information on all of those 3 aspects. And so it's not only important that there are multiple pictures and photos of the car, but it's also important to have some sort of sound recording, at least of a similar engine. Try to research where we can get those recordings. And then you need information on the suspension of the car, on the aerodynamics of the car, on the tires of the car, on almost everything regarding physics too. So that takes a lot of time, because there are some cars for which you can easily get information, which are super popular, and then maybe some classic cars, you think because those are classic, you will get information easily, but that tends not to be the case.
I imagine.
So we gather all the references, then we start working. We start working on the 3 aspects at the same time, so that in the end we get all together in the game after everything is finished. Sometimes you work for racing teams or for professional drivers who are able to provide you with all that data and to provide you with CAD models, and that tends to make things easier. But well, it's not always the case, and it's always a challenge. That's the exciting part.
And the evolving cost, getting that data, you have to pay for, or you can easily get it for free?
That depends. That depends a lot also on the case. When you are working for a driver, it's pretty likely that the driver will provide you with all the data from his car. He will take the pictures of his car and everything. That is usually the same case when you are working for a racing team, although racing teams tend to have some non-disclosure contracts which don't even allow them to provide certain information of the cars. And in some other cases, we have paid guys to take photos of a certain vehicle that's in a museum in another country or something like that. We have also paid for audio recordings of some cars.
Okay.
So yeah, that's also the case sometimes. we at VRC are all from different countries. We have a guy from Canada, a guy from Colombia, a guy from Argentina, two guys from Germany, a guy from Morocco. So sometimes it's hard to get information of some of those cars, to get audio recordings. A lot of those cars are in the UK, in Germany also. But there are a few of those super classic cars we love here in Argentina, for example.
And I want to ask you, because when you create such a realistic cars, what is how hard is to create or to recreate that? Or what is the challenge where you found more difficult to recreate a car?
Tricky question. Every project is a challenge by itself. We are always trying to evolve and to make things better and to improve our previous work. So there are always challenges. It depends. Usually when you have all the information you require and you have thousands of pictures of the car and everything, that tends to make things easier because there is nothing to guess, or you have everything there. But when you need to start guessing things, for example, we created some cars of which we only had like 2 or 3 pictures of the interior, and you probably, if you have never worked on a 3D model, you say, okay, 3 pictures is enough. But with 3 pictures, you can do nothing. You need to
imagine
to imagine how a lot of things would look. You need to start checking other cars or the similar cars to try to imagine how things will look. And that tends to be quite tricky. And I'm not the expert here, but on the physics side is the same. When you don't have all the data you need to start making educated guesses about a lot of aspects of the car. And that's what can become a real challenge.
So you work more with the part of physics, or you work more with the part of sound?
I think I am a born artist. I have painted since I was a little child. I am a professional musician. In fact,
Okay.
I studied music my whole life, so I'm basically an artist, and that's what I tend to do. I tend to be involved in all the artistic parts of the car, from the 3D model to the animations to the textures. But nowadays we have a main vehicle artist at PRC, who's Daniel Jimenez. He's a master at 3D modeling, so he leaves me nothing to do on that aspect, at least. So I'm mainly focused on animations nowadays, textures, and since I have been working with Assetto Corsa for so long, I have some expertise on the aspects of importing those 3D models into Assetto Corsa and how the animations would work and how the new CSP or custom shapes patch features will work with that 3D model and those kind of things. And aside of that, when your modding team and your hobby becomes a company, there's also a lot of time involved in replying emails, being in touch with the customers. So I spend a lot of time on that, which probably is not what I like the most. I like the artistic part, but I enjoy everything. I am really passionate about what we do at PRC.
And with this evolution from the years, like you said, the CPS, the evolution from CPS on Assetto Corsa, now with the Unreal 5 engine, how it's going to make more easy for developer mod, or is getting more hard, more complicated, more challenge?
I think that depends a lot on the platform. In general terms, it is becoming harder and harder because we get closer and closer to real life and to how things are on real life. So it has become harder. I don't know. 15 years ago, maybe, in the earlier factor modding days, a mod could be made in just a week or something because the 3D models were quite simple. You didn't need references of the screws inside the pedal of. You just placed an image and that was it. So the 3D making the 3D models for those old games didn't take as much time as it takes today when you need to be modeling every single detail, maybe sometimes even inside the engine of the car. So that takes a lot of time. And I guess it's the same on the sounds and the physics. And I mean, on the sounds, you also now have a lot of details and a lot of samples of everything and a lot of side chains inside your audio structure controlling one parameter with while compressing another. So it has become a lot harder than maybe it was back in the day when you just dropped a few samples there and that was it. And I guess on the physics side, it's the same. But again, it all comes down to the platform. There are some platforms that make things super easy, and I think that's one of the reasons why modding in Assetto Corsa has become so popular, because it's super easy and it's super well explained how to import your models, sounds, and physics into Assetto Corsa. While there are some other platforms that simply it seems that they try to make it harder on purpose, like
On what it is.
I'm joking because probably they didn't do that on purpose, but I think that they come from an old engine and they keep trying to make it more modern, and they have changed the shaders and a lot of internal things in the engine while keeping part of the original code. So nowadays it's a little bit of a mess modding for those platforms. And there are some other platforms which are simply closed, as it is Automodelista 2, for example, in which you can import your assets and everything, but there's simply no documentation on how to do that. So you have to guess it on your own.
I think it's what to make Automobilista probably not step up to the levels of other games. Is probably that, because they keep blocking in ways the mod community. It is very hard to develop a mod to there. It's not so. It's tricky,
Yes, I don't know if I should mention this, but we recorded this podcast last week, and we talked about that. We talked about every game is different. We have to take the games as what those are and enjoy them as those are. And Assetto Corsa was built from the scratch to be a modding platform. It was built like that. Madness Engine was never built to be modded, but some guys find some ways to mod it. And over the years, we have seen modding being improved since the early Need for Speed Unleashed. How was the name of that Need for Speed? Sorry, Shift 1 and 2, the series that were made based on Madness Engine.
Yep.
Shift 1 and 2, sorry.
I think because after they went
since
to
those days, people...
No, continue, sorry.
I think they made 3 games before Project Cars with that engine. I think Shift 1, Shift 2, and Ferrari Racing Legends, or something like that. I think it was called. Then they went
and
to Project Cars 1,
with
Project Cars 2.
Yeah, I think it's that one that was quite strange one. That was a game that when you was going to be another person, the person would have some stress and will go out from the car, so you have to challenge the AI. It was quite a weird game that I think was not Ferrari. Ferrari was Alfa Romeo 2. I think was all the brands that Ferrari have it. I don't remember very well, but I know the game that you're talking about. It was just such a weird game. I don't remember if you played it.
To read again because I can't remember the names. But modding has been evolving in that platform. But the game was not the whole engine wasn't created from scratch to be able to be modded. So I think Racer is now making some efforts in trying to support certain types of mods. They have made possible that you add skins. They have allowed us to import the cars, the models we had. But yet they aren't disclosing how some physics aspect work and how we should be able to mod sound, for example. But some guys from Razer have told us that they are open to see what they are able to do. Of course, trying to open the game and creating a lot of tools for us to be able to mod the game implies a lot of effort from the company. And I know they are also a small team, so I don't know how many resources they can spend on creating these new tools.
They still develop the game.
They never promised that they exactly
because the game is just now,
and that's also a problem if you want to.
Yeah, it comes just now the 1.5. They still they changed the tire, the way that the tire works. So there's a lot of changes coming. The game is getting better. I think the game is enjoyable now. I played the other day and I have quite fun. Play all GT cars, so I think it was really fun. And I think in terms of graphics, is beautiful game, but yeah, it's still missing there something to achieve to the level of Assetto Corsa. And you think Assetto Corsa 2 will be open for modding, or will be more like Assetto Corsa Competizione?
I really don't know. I really don't know. I hope it will be open for modding. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how much of the Assetto Corsa success is due to modding and how much isn't. In the interviews I have heard from the guys of Kunos, they tend to say that even the releasing the games on consoles was a success for them, and on consoles there are no mods at all. So if the game was a success on consoles, that means that mods were not that important for their success. But let's see. Let's see. I heard that they are working on their own engine again and their own technology, and I guess that seems to mean that they are willing to support mods again. I think that Kunos themselves calling them as providers of technology means that they are willing to create a new platform for professional drivers and teams to practice with their game and software. So that means that modding should be supported in some way. Let's see.
I hope so.
Let's see.
And in terms of the future, what do you think gonna happen to VRC? Why are we gonna see VRCs in the future? What's gonna come more new mods? What you guys are working now?
Okay, so you also asked me about modding on Unreal Engine, and that could be a possibility. I don't know what the future will look like in Unreal Engine. Even whatever engine you use to create your game, you need to build the architecture of the game from scratch to be able to be modded. If those are going to be as open as Assetto Corsa is. And also, for example, in Rensport, I have seen that they presented some mods, but the mods they presented are like built as part of the game, are compiled inside the game itself. So I don't think we can call them mods because the creator of those mods were working in straight connection with the developers of the game itself. So we need to see how the future will look like with Rensport, for example. Let's see if Assetto Corsa 2 is also modding capable. We need to see how
Le Mans, you think not gonna be open for mods, no?
I don't think so. I don't think so. It seems like they are making a game based on based on their Factor 2, just with those cars and tracks, and they don't want other content to be involved there. So I don't see that being module. But I think in the end it will be like a Factor 2. It's another version of a Factor 2, exclusively with those tracks and cars. I don't know. There are some other games. The developers of the guys that were from Slightly Mad Studios, I Am Bell, is also working on a new game that looks promising so far. So we need to see
We have the Argentina
how
Pista.
things develop. We have the Argentina Pista, exactly. As far as I shouldn't speak, I think I shouldn't say anything about that. But I don't think it will be capable of modding.
Okay.
At least not like in a Assetto Corsa, where you can import your tracks, cars, physics, and everything. It will be different. But it's exciting to have another new game also. Yeah. It's always exciting to have.
And like I say, the other day, I think it's exciting because you guys have the rivalry now with the Automobilista 2 from Razer, Brazil studios. You have Argentina doing something there. I think it's good for South America to show that they have different types of racing there and good racing. You know, I think the stock car in Brazil is always good, close racings. You have always a very competitive grid, and it's always fun racings and fun cars. So I think it's more than Formula One that we see all the time. So as it is nice, the games push always like this. But you speak about something important on the Unreal 5 with the Rensport, because when I speak with them, when they told me where it's going to be making the mods and bring the mods to the game. For example, you don't need to develop your own trees, so you're already going to have the files inside of the game. You just have to convert the trees to their own trees. Because so how are you going to be that when you think going to be a full mod, or is just going to go put a track and after use what they have on the game? It's tricky, no? It's strange the way they're going to work.
I don't know. They should explain us how the game is going to work. When you create terrains and landscapes in Unreal Engine, you have a lot of assets already developed. That's what makes Unreal Engine so powerful, that you don't need to start from scratch from modeling the tree, but there are already a lot of assets of a lot of types of trees and rocks and everything. So that makes a lot easier the whole process. But I don't really know still how the mods would work. I don't know. Maybe it sounds like a good idea to limit the quantity of assets and the assets you can use. But I don't know. The Unreal Engine games are usually packed in some specific Unreal Engine compiled files. And I know it's tricky to program Unreal Engine to load other assets. So I think Rensport should develop some kind of tool with which you can import your model and export it to some sort of format that Rensport, the game, will understand. But if we are going to be modding inside Unreal Engine itself, the problem with Unreal Engine, let's call it problem, is that the options are unlimited and that you should be able to code whatever you want and program shaders as you want. And I guess that at some point they need to limit what we are able to do. Otherwise, you can do almost anything. And so they need to have a clear pipeline of what's possible and how to mod for the game. And so far, unfortunately, they have not provided any information on that regard. I haven't heard anyone at Rensport explaining exactly how mods will work. They tend to say, yes, we will support mods, and that's it. And you don't know if mods, they are calling skins mods, or you will be able to have car mods. We don't know what sort of mods we will be able to have. But anyways, I'm open for whatever they offer. And I think having competition, as you said, is always is
It's an
always
evolution, no?
great.
More competition, more
Yeah,
everyone gonna develop something different. Something's gonna be good, something's gonna be bad.
there are
But I think
more
is always
options for
good.
you to choose also.
Yeah, more options for we spend the money, because after we tend to spend the money on games and after we we don't enjoy them, you know. But you think that all of them they're gonna start going in like iRacing, no? By subscription, probably you buy the package. I think all the games now tends to go on that way, no?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Uh, I don't think that all games that are based on subscriptions are doing great. I don't know. Race Room Racing Experience doesn't have much players online, and it's also like a subscription system where you need to pay for all the content. I don't know. It's weird. It's tricky. Let's see what they do. I'm open
Speaking
to
on
see
Race
what they do.
Room, do you have any news? You think you're gonna come a Race Room 2, another game? Because they keep develop the game. They keep bring some let's call DLCs or package. You know, they have the roadmap. I think it's coming the Porsche now. I think with 3 new Porsches coming, but I was expecting a new game from them. No,
I don't know. I think the way games are developed nowadays has changed because they have a constant revenue with all the new content they are creating. So they don't need to sell you a new game in order to generate revenue. Um, and creating a new game can also be a problem in terms of license. If you have a lot of licenses for a lot of cars, and you create a new game and you don't have the license for the new game, maybe you need to. So
Mhm.
um, I don't think they are going to create a new game. And I also can't understand how the company is working. Was Simbin involved also in racing experience? Weren't they did announce a new game called GTR 3 or something like that, which was never released. It was cancelled. So I don't know, but I think the studio split in two parts, and one part of the studio is working on race room racing experience, and another part of the studio was trying to develop those new games. So I don't know. It's a mystery how that
yeah,
situation will end.
but even iRacing it was to develop a new game, but after the game changed name, and now it's like it's not anymore a full racing game. It's like more arcade. So they always trying to change, but that, sometimes, like you say, they change too much, and that's what's probably kill. For example, Project Cars. No, Project Car 1 was okay. Project Car 2 was a game that need more development, and after Project Car 3 was EA Games. When EA Games bought them, was completely
Yeah.
strange game. Was nothing there that we enjoy. It was quite a weird way, because they started very well. They went to Project Cardo 2, like we say, that was good, and after Project Card 3 is dead.
Yeah, I think Project Cars 2 was a great simulation. The problem is that they had so much content and so many different sort of tracks and cars and rally cars, and it's hard to make uh, everything so well. And I think that because of the timings they have in the industry, such big companies, they don't have time to polish all the details. And I guess that's what Raisa is doing so well. They are taking the time to polish every single detail on each one of the series, even if it is taking a huge amount of resources and time. They are spending that time into polishing all the details. Um, so probably Automorista 2 is what Project Cars 3 should have been. I don't know.
Probably, I would
Uh,
say, I would say probably. Yeah. Just missing one thing of Project Card 2 that I think people keep forgetting was a single career mode. In terms of single career mode, the way that you start from low tires and you go evolving, if you want to follow a GT path, if you want to go to open wheelers, I think that was very good developed. We have like seasons, and I think it was quite funny, quite interesting to approach just the single career mode for people that play offline. But of course, like you say, it was too many cars, too many physics involved, too many tires, too many trucks, and after too many, they have a lot of rain. They start to try to do completely different, and they develop a new way, but still was too much. And just in 2 years, I think so, no? Because the Project Car 1 to
Mhm.
Project Car 2, I think it's just 2 years. I don't remember very well, but I think it was
I think so. Yeah,
2016,
2 or 3 years.
2016 to yeah, it was too fast.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then, and for you guys, so I already asked you this one, but you don't tell me any cars that you guys are now developing new, anything coming now for us special?
Yes, we are constantly working on new cars and new tracks, but some of those are also for, are, let's say, exclusive for some racing teams and drivers and companies. So
Hmm?
I see a lot of people in the community super excited to get new tracks and cars, and trust me, we are working full throttle. But the problem is, not all the content is being made public. So you need to wait a little bit more. But we have been working really hard in the last months.
That's
So I think the
that's
new
quite
content
interesting.
will be exciting.
You guys develop for racing teams is quite interesting, and probably is challenge for you guys, and is a way of we have better content for us too, because you're gonna have a content that's gonna be 100% with the guy that drives the car. So gonna be, you're gonna know the inputs and the output. You're gonna have all the assets and all the data. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, people tend to complain anyways. Even if you created the car exactly like how the driver, and you created it with professional drivers and they told you that it feels exactly like their car, then you will see some people complaining that the car doesn't feel real. uh, I don't know.
So
I
in
think
your last
some people is
in yeah, in your last package that you guys have, do you have the lithium, the 2023, that was developed with any teams or was just from your datas?
it was developed with some data of one team. I cannot
Okay,
disclose
well,
which one,
no, it's
but
okay.
yes, we had some information.
Oh, that's good. Because it comes, I know we already speak about this one, but it comes in same time than R Factor 2. So it was quite,
Yeah. It's funny because what people doesn't have in mind is that we usually start working on the mods that are released 6 months before it is released. So when the R Factor 2 mod was released, we on that point we have already been working like 6 months on the Formula Lithium 2. So um, it's not like that. It's not like the release. Aside of the Factor 2 has some encryption with which you cannot open the the models anyways, and
okay.
also the data of the cars is encrypted, so there's no way to get that information from Factor 2. Um, when the car was released for Factor 2, we almost had it done also after working a lot of time.
So you had a panic attack, not a panic attack, but you
Uh,
I can see a little bit. But
we
you guys
suppose that Air,
you didn't
Air
know
Factor
nothing
2
about
has
it.
the official license for that.
Yeah.
Factor 2 has the official license for the series, so we guessed that at some point they were going to release it. Um, in the end, I don't think we care too much. To be sincere, Air Factor 2, I think, is not capable yet of properly simulating a lot of the things that happen in fully electric cars. And
Hmm.
with CSP in Assetto Corsa, I think we are capable of reproducing it even better than in their Factor 2. So
I see. I agree with you because
it's
even
okay.
not on the electrics, you pick up a rally game, and a dirty rally 2 from Codemasters is an amazing rally game, and the graphics and
Mhm.
everything. But the cars, even the Assetto Corsa is not developed with the physics, the cars feel better sometimes there, principal in tarmac. The cars drive different ways, and you ever now on Assetto Corsa, it was a game that was not developed for rally, that is not create with nothing rally, and you have more mods, more cars available there than you have in the rally games, and that's crazy.
That's
You
crazy,
pick up
yeah.
any car of any generation there. Even rallies, not of course you cannot have a full rally. It's very difficult for you. You have a full rally stage there, but you can do stages on different parts, and it's funny. I think Cito Corsa is crazy. All small game go this way, and like Beam NG, BeamNG is another one. Start as a I remember see the first videos 2011, no, 2011, 2012 was just
Yeah,
crashing cars.
it can be.
Just
Yeah.
crashing car. You just go with a very bad car, and the car was crashing everything. I was thinking, okay, probably going to be a new way of Burnout, or the studios from Burnout are trying to develop something, because was for that, to do for add to games, and now is a full game almost, still in develop, but it's a funny game, and is people start playing more and more. Of course, the physics are not the best physics, are a little bit weird, but it's a hard game, so and everyone love it.
I think the physics are great. The problem is that the physics are not intended for racing cars yet. So there are a lot of aerodynamics things that are not correctly developed yet. I guess we need to give them more time, but it's a promising title also.
Yeah. And anything that you want to share with us? Anything special that you want to share before we go to the questions, for the final questions?
Tricky question also. Anything special?
Because I know it's a lot of things that you cannot share, because a lot of that you guys are working that are quite secret.
I don't know. There are many things that I probably cannot disclose. But well, you also asked me how we see the future of BRC regarding all the new games that are coming and everything. And we are also trying to position BRC in a place where we become a third-party studio that creates content and assets for different racing games.
Okay.
So we are open to receive inquiries from different companies to create cars for them and everything for those new games.
But that's the way, because I had on a podcast Sabra Porto from Portugal, and they started working with Big Moon, and they started I think was develop cars for WRC 1, 2, and 3, just the inside of the cars, nothing of physics. And after there was a small studio, and after they went to develop the cars for other games like Flat Out, and now they have a full game. They are the creators of Dakar series, Dakar 18 and Dakar Desert Rally. Of course, is not the racing sim that everyone is enjoying it, but is a game in development, and they start, like you say, they start with small mod community, third part for other studios, and now so it's always a way.
Yeah, one aspect about that is that not all games need to be simulations, and I am always happy to see those new games coming, even those aren't hardcore racing simulations. I think we need to enjoy everything, and always remember the people behind those games and those studios. Some of those games are still being developed by really small teams, and sometimes when you are so critic about the certain games and everything, you may hurt the developers because the games are like childs to them. So we need to enjoy everything, all the games, even those which are not hardcore racing simulation.
Yeah, we need to remember
I
that a
don't
lot
know.
of games are developed from controller and from wheel. No, even Gran Turismo 7, that is a great game in terms of graphic. The physics and everything is developed for people that play more on controller and for people that play on wheel. So you cannot go only one way and forget the other ones when you develop a game for consoles. Not everyone have money to
Exactly.
go on consoles and get
And
a good wheel. And it's not so many wheels for consoles
that
too on these days. Everything is for PC, so
that also brings new people to the simulation, because you don't started also playing with a full rig and a motion simulation. You started playing with the keyboard and mouse. I started playing when I was a young boy with Grand Prix 2 with my
yep.
keyboard uh, on a super old computer, which I think the game could only run at like 10 FPS. And I remember like being 10 minutes to complete a whole lap at Hockenheim, but not because I was low, but because of the lowest
For the PC.
FPS of my computer. And and I enjoyed it anyways with a keyboard. It was
That's it.
super exciting.
One
And
of
I
the
felt
games
like
that
I was
one
I
of the
felt
games
like
that I
I was
start
a Formula One driver.
exactly one of the games that I started playing and on in terms of PC was Destruction Derby. Was a I don't know if you remember playing Destruction Derby, and it was the same thing. Was the game was slow but was quite funny, and after of course came Gran Turismo 2, Gran Turismo uh, 3 after for PS2. And if you play Gran Turismo 2 on the control, you're gonna see the difference that for these days, the way that we turn everything is is a huge evolution, and we don't realize because we've been living the evolution, So because it's coming every day, we don't realize how far we have come in 20 years of simulation. So just to think, it's 20 years ago we was playing Gran Turismo 3. I think it was 20 years ago, probably even less. So
It sounds sad, but yes, basically, yeah.
and you talk about wheels.
Uh,
I had before code SimRacing and proper wheels. I had two wheels, and my first wheel I think survived 1 week. Was a wheel that you glue
what
to
happened?
the table, and my father have a friend coming there to play. The friend is quite bulky, gordito,
I can
you know.
imagine how the will.
See, he turned it. The table go, and he broke. So the wheel never broke the. Well, we're gonna say the stop. We have a plastic that will stop from the wheel from turning, and he broke it because it turned so fast because it was so weak. Was so weak wheels, and so now we have I don't know, the evolution is so big, and these last 2 years it's been crazy. I have a TGT from Trustmaster, and now my TGT that 2019 was the best from Trustmaster and was such a good thing. Now with Moza, with all this new hardware, looks like a whole personal wheel. There's no so many LEDs, no still on belts, no load cell pedals. It's weird, the evolution and good. But let's jump on these secret questions. So questions that you don't know about it.
Okay.
And you ready?
All
Gonna be
right.
easy ones.
Okay.
Let's start with them. Favorite hardware?
Well, in terms of hardware, I have to confess that here in Argentina we don't have many options. There are no official importers for Trustmasters or Fanatec or Moza or anything. So I still have my old GT27. And unfortunately, it's really hard to get anything else here. I think we also discussed this last week.
But even from
people...
America, even even if you guys get, like, if I send to you, gonna be difficult.
Unfortunately, with the government we have right now, it will be almost impossible to get anything from outside. At least you bring it in a completely illegal way,
Okay.
it is really tricky.
So even if I go with if goes with me on airplane, and I go to deliver to you, you're gonna be difficult.
Yeah, you should
The way that okay.
do that way.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I haven't been able to test any of those new rigs or anything. There are a few guys here that build their own brands, but those are super expensive, really super expensive, and people tend to think that I am a millionaire because I make mods and I sell them. But trust me, I am not a millionaire. I still have my own shitty 27 from Logitech, and that's everything I can afford right now.
Yeah, but I think it's not the will that make us enjoy sim racing. No, is our immersion. Of course, a load cell pedals going to be the future. That's you need to feel the way that the brake to, because we like you and me, we go by more from memory, from muscle memory. You know, we remember where you're going to be 50%, where not going to be, and we don't feel so much the brake as you feel on load pedal cells, but sorry, load cell pedals. But yeah. And in terms of software, favorite software?
One more note regarding that thing you were mentioning is that I come from the time when I enjoyed sim racing with the keyboard. So with the G27, I'm still super happy. So I don't think that's a limitation to enjoy or not a to enjoy sim racing. I was going to comment something more about that. What was it? I don't know. Yeah, okay. Let's repeat me the last question, sorry.
No problem. Favorite software?
My favorite software? I think that would be Assetto Corsa, for sure. It has allowed us to experience and be able to drive so many cars that would have seemed a dream many years ago. So yeah, Assetto Corsa, definitely. The other thing I was going to comment is that probably most of us will never drive a Formula One car and will never know how a Formula One steering wheel actually feels. So you can compare, really, to be sincere. So you can enjoy with whichever hardware you have.
Exactly. Favorite car on real life?
In real life? Oh, tricky questions. I love them all. Probably the F310, the one that Schumacher used in the 96, and also the one from 97. I love those cars, and that's more or less when I really started watching all the Formula One races. So I don't know. I came to Formula One watching that, and I guess that's my favorite car. Even though, particularly the 96 car was not a really good performer track.
No. Not a very pretty one. But I know, I agree with you. It's like that nostalgia. And in terms of sim car, of the world of simulation, which is your favorite car to drive?
Oh, also another tricky question. My favorite car to drive. I enjoy a lot driving open wheelers, like Formula One cars and everything, but I have to confess I am not fast. So I struggle with those cars.
Me neither, no worry.
But I enjoy them anyways. So maybe I prefer like driving a Formula 3 car or something with a bit less power.
But to be fair, the same thing. I enjoy more. I really enjoy the F3 or F1600s. I like them, you know. It's funny cars, you know. Not only about the speed, but I think you have more close battles, you know. It's different. And if you have to choose a truck, favorite truck?
Another tricky question. Spa, probably.
Spa? Okay.
Spa. Let's go with the classic. Let's go
No
with the
worries.
classic.
And now this one gonna be very tricky. Probably not tricky, but gonna be strange. If you have to choose one mod from all the mods from you guys, which one will be?
No, these questions are being too tricky. I don't know. I usually tend to like the most our latest mod. The
Okay.
last mod we released is the one I always enjoy the more, and the one I like the more, because we are in a constant process of evolving and improving ourselves. So each mod we release, I think, is better than the last one. So I tend to love our last mod. And probably when I start working on another one, I will hate that one and I will start loving the new one. But yeah, that's constantly changing. I have no favorites.
Okay. Thank you, Matias, once again for having given me your time and to stay here with me. I hope you have enjoyed it. I wish you guys all the best, because I think you guys make such great mods. And for my part, I will say to you, I expect a little one mod now, more to the DTMs. I love the BTCC cars, and I love your Torres pack. So I expect more from that for my part.
Yeah, I love those cars too. Well, it's been a pleasure being here with you. Hopefully this time we don't get any technical issues and everything gets recorded. I hope this podcast also felt spontaneous, even though we already had some of those questions last week. It's been a pleasure
No worries.
recording it again with you, and
Thank you so
also an
much.
honor being in your podcast. Thank you.
That's the interview. I really hope you have enjoyed it. But before we finish, I will want to explaining why Matias and me mention a lot of times before the podcast or before or after what happened. So while I was recording with Matias, everything went really, really beautiful on the first time, and we finished conversation. We talked for 2 hours and something. It was really, really interesting. And while I'm recording, I keep receiving some messages, like some warnings that sometimes happen. Internet drop a little bit, so nothing that will be major. And Matias started receiving some message on his phone, say that he will not have space on the app. Something really, really strange. Next day, all the podcast was okay. As soon as I started to download it, was not off of the podcast, so I have parts and I appear, parts on Matias appear. What happened was the podcast server, or the server from Riverside, went down mysteriously. They didn't realize that went down from themselves. So a lot of people was complaining, and with that I received a month of free for Riverside to keep using Riverside for the what happened, and I had to redo all the episode with fortunately with Matias. Matias was very kind to come back to the podcast and do everything again and remember a little bit what we talk and what we don't talk it. So it was really nice to have him. And for my part, thank you so much for see you guys here. And remember, we don't know about next week, but in 2 weeks you have Ashi Vanderlei with us. See you there, guys.